All right, welcome everybody to the NWO show, your source for everything New World. We have kind of a fun show tonight planned. There's going to be some good updates that I think people are going to enjoy, as well as some game news. So, for those that watched the other day, obviously we had kind of a crazy stream. We really appreciate everybody, all the new follows, all the new people coming in. Um, getting the nod from Amazon for getting to host some stuff and do the drops the other day was obviously pretty epic for us. Um, you know, but one of the reasons we're part of the content creator program is fundamentally we really do enjoy bringing people content, bringing people up to date information. Hey, thanks for the subs, guys. I appreciate it. And the follow, absolutely.
Very nice.
Yeah, we're off to a great start here. So.
Oh yeah.
So.
Where were we when we were so politely interrupted?
Sorry, had something pop up there. We got some interesting stuff for tonight. It's going to be a little bit different. Let's go ahead and not have the chat be anything political. We're going to avoid topics for politics. Thank you for the sub as well. All right, so here's the deal. There was a Mine MMO article that somehow these guys get the inside track with Scott every time. We've yet to figure out why Scott goes to the Germans every time with new information.
I think they have something on him.
They've got to have something on him. It really is good detail as well. So I'm going to quick pop that up. For those that don't know, Mine MMO is obviously a German website. So we're going to rapidly translate this to English because, Google Translate is a thing. And yeah, so obviously the big kicker was that they wanted to talk to people about the beta. So the beta itself is obviously this big event for them. Open beta, meaning anybody can have access to the beta with fundamentally no restriction. You don't have to have pre-ordered. You just get in by signing up on the 8th. Yeah, thanks for the gifted sub.
Yeah.
And that starts the hype train. Off to the races already. It's going to be a great day. So
there's Mine MMO article, right?
Yes. So the Mine MMO article focuses a lot on the top half here. A lot of this stuff really isn't new. The open beta is going to be for everyone. You can participate by signing up. You got to be in, somewhat select areas in order to get access to it in terms of Europe, North America, Australia, South America, and some other oddity locations that they didn't mention that still actually have access.
Okay.
So, there's not going to be any new content for the open beta. So they teased the Void Gauntlet in the Gamescom presentation, but that is not completed content that's slated to be released after the game actually releases on the 28th. So at some point post-launch, that will be in the game, probably pretty quickly after. I'm assuming they're going to want to, stabilize the servers, make sure everything's good to go, and then they'll probably start adding in content like crazy. Anybody who's been involved in the history of the development of the game knows that these guys have a great release manager that keeps works them like a taskmaster and really does a great job of keeping everybody on track and solidifying what's going to come in each release. The game is, of course, not done with release. So, when the game comes out, there is more to come. There are more development. There is an entire roadmap moving forward that the player base has not seen yet. So that's some of the big stuff here. Thank you again. Thank you guys for the follows and the subs. I am watching those come in. It's great to see. So, so a lot of this stuff we already know. I just wanted to make sure for the people that are coming in, hey, this is obviously something that is big. This is the open beta is something to know about. It's going to be happening in from the 9th through the 12th of September, and then of course we'll be back in yet another gap between the open beta and the release. Logitar with the massive gifted subs.
Whoa!
Wow!
Thank you very much.
Holy Moses!
MVP today is clearly Logitar.
Yeah, thank you. You guys are too good to us. You really are. Like, it really we do this for the fans. We do this because we love it, and really thank you guys. It really is awesome to see.
And everyone who got a gifted sub from Logitar, best thank him in chat.
Yeah.
By the way.
Yeah, we're already 40% into level 4 hype train, which is insane.
Not too shabby. It's a good start to the day.
So obviously, for anybody who caught the Gamescom presentation, it was a great presentation. I love the Gamescom team. They do a really good job of doing the Video Game Awards, the Summer Game Fest, Opening Night Live, all of this, premiere content. They do a wonderful job with. I'm not going to speak to the Q&A event that happened the other day, other than to say that I really hope that they look at other venues for Q&As than what they had there. Because I think a lot of people were thinking it was going to be something that it wasn't really intended to be. And I want to give kind of the thought process that I think happened. That event is really aimed at people who aren't currently part of the player base. So, it's super high level intro information, not very specific. The Q&A was not ideal. It was not what, for McLeod and I, it's not targeted at us. We knew more than what was in there, other than seeing the Golden Rage armor for the first time in game. That interview didn't really give us much because we knew most of that information going in. So that said, it's a learning process. I'm sure they've developed, and they'll look at the metrics, look at the response, and as with everything that they've done for the entire time they've been developing the game, they're going to iterate and respond based on feedback. So, it is what it is. I'll put the offer out there. If they ever want to come on for a Q&A on this show, I'd be more than happy to host, and we'd be more than happy to have them here. I know we've been working on getting something set up specific to the creator program, for a while now, but we're just looking for the right time to do that. So, that said, back to the Mine MMO article. The Mine MMO article gives us a bit more. A lot of people saw, this kind of break here, and were like, hey, this seems to be the end of the article, right? But no.
Nope, not quite.
There's more. So,
but wait, there's more.
Because this is translated, from German, I wanted to make sure that this was right. So I actually reached out to them and confirmed the details in here. Fundamentally speaking, the major factors for the delay were mechanics that were, seemingly broken, a lot more bugs than they thought existed, some server type issues, as well as the exploits. Voxel Vinny with the sub drop, getting us the T5, our gifted 5 T1 subs. Good God, you guys are.
He also actually dropped. Vox also dropped a bunch of cheers as well. So a bunch of bits as well. So that's great, man. Like,
thank you guys.
Thank you very much, dude.
Thank you. Yeah, that's 500 bits as well. Thank you guys. Seriously, that's really awesome. So some of the big stuff here. Obviously, there were some glitches. For those that don't know, there were things like the Great Axe heavy attack from the left-handed swing, dealing double damage for no apparent reason. There were some transition issues with the servers in terms of interconnecting nodes. This gets super complex, so I'm not going to go into it too deep. There was the issue with duels, where somehow, like, you would complete a duel, then kill somebody, or then the person would suicide, and the other person would receive just a crap load of XP.
Like, just regular XP, weapon XP, all sorts of things. Like, it was kind of broken.
So there was a lot of major things like that would be game breaking on release, because they would be exploited to no end. There were a number of different things that caused crashes that shouldn't. For instance, phishing in chat there. 28 gifted subs from Voxel Vinny over time. Like, he's been with us a while.
Wants to be, Voxel wants to be MVP, clearly.
Yeah. It really is much appreciated, guys. You guys have distracted me with all the love here. Like, it's crazy. Like,
I was gonna mention that like a little later on, but yeah. Anyway,
so obviously there was a bunch of bugs. There was a bunch more things that they found. The server meshing and connections between zones. I know we experienced in the beta that occasionally a zone would just stop spawning NPCs, which obviously isn't, like, that's
not
a
ideal.
server-side failure of a node that's still allowing people to travel through, still showing the people, but all assets died and didn't come back.
Yeah,
so
basically
that functionally
it's
speaking
not being
is bad.
Yeah. There's nothing happening in terms of, like, spawn mechanics functioning on that server. So nothing's being put back in.
So one of the things that also happened is that everybody's first impression of what was going to take place when the servers went live went to crap immediately, because there were way too many people for the number of servers, and they rapidly tried to spool up more servers to fill the need, but that was difficult. That said, that also meant that a lot of players from specific areas that might speak specific languages unfortunately weren't able to play together and were forced onto servers with a vast variety of other languages. And this, like, for anybody that's played any MMO, generally, if there's any kind of shard type system, you really need to have people who speak the same language together. So this is one of the things that they're going to be looking for, and they're going to be trying to solve, is that there's certain servers that are going to have a language recommendation. So for instance, German players might have a German-specific server, and it'll be denoted in-game in some way. Additionally, they noted that on some servers there was a large imbalance between the factions. So for anybody that watched us playing the... Good God.
Yeah, our
you guys
our
are
server
too nice
was
to
kind
us.
You really are, like, wow.
Logitar with yet another sub drop of 5 more T1 subs.
Damn.
Oh, so nice to us, guys. You really are. McLeod and I are not
right?
developers. To answer the question, we are not developers. We have connections with the developers, in that we are part of the part of the content creator program. We've been in the content creator program for quite a while. We do receive support from Amazon Game Studio on a number of things. I'm just reading. Yeah. So we do receive support from them. You'll notice that several of the the transitions and assets in the show are actually, very New World themed, to the point where there would be questions about copyright. That was actually given to us and others in the creator program to develop into our streams, into our content, so that we have a solid,
more themed kind
show.
of themed show.
And they really are cool assets. Aside from that, McLeod and I have also bought shirts, and back in the day, Amazon gifted me a hat for the preview event. So there's a lot of support that we've received from the devs. So I do want to appreciate all of that. So some of the other stuff. The 4 weeks, I mentioned this already, the 4-week delay is mainly to fix exploit and server problems. So a lot of the stuff that they're working on is related to the servers, to make sure that they're stable, to make sure that they have enough of them, and to make sure that they, the whole system doesn't come crumbling down, and they aren't, dealing with releasing stability updates in the middle of primetime gaming for anybody. And that's big. That's really big. A lot of the war type stuff for the servers needs to be addressed, and it really is a good thing for them to be taking the time that they need to ensure that the game is done properly, and that they have the time to fix anything that does come up in the beta. Again, a reminder that there's no new content coming out. However, after the release, there will be more expeditions, new PvP content, and add-ons are planned for shortly after release. We don't have an exact timeline on that, but we are actually going to see that relatively soon. Relatively soon after.
Pretty nice.
Again, anybody who's been part of the alpha or anything like that knows, these guys really do keep to what they say they're going to do, and they do take the feedback into account from the player base to ensure that they're going in the right direction with the community. So those are some of the big things, big highlights. We also had more. I was able to confirm a lot of this with them. During the open beta, they're going to be looking specifically at the servers, looking at numbers for who's coming from where, how many, and they have stated a number of times in a number of places that not the open beta will not necessarily be a full representation of the server, full server plan in terms of location and amount. It's obviously a test. It's obviously going to be, stress testing their stuff to the point of potentially breaking it.
I mean, that's the idea, right? The idea of the open beta is, everyone is now welcome, and so this is the ultimate stress test.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So, this will give them a really good idea of how many people are going to play from where, and of course to stress the servers. Really put a lot of people on there. I would imagine that they're probably going to up the player count per server to see, what impacts and what craziness they can get out of that. That said, they have not confirmed that they are. They haven't confirmed that the final plan, is going to add more server locations yet. They've just stated that, it's not necessarily what you see in the open beta might not be what you see at launch, depending on how things go. So there are lots of people out there that are begging for the SEA servers. You know, now is your time to make yourself known. Make yourself, you know, get everybody online that you know, get all your friends online in that area, and you know, show them that, hey, we really do need servers there. Because I actually really think that would be a good thing to add. And of course, they're very metrics driven, so you know, make some noise and maybe it can happen for you. So with that, we've also got more. So after the Q&A, I think fundamentally I don't think they accomplished the goals that they wanted to accomplish in the Q&A on Twitch Gaming. And this led to a series of questions being answered on Steam. I don't think it was intentional for them to do this, but I think it was something that really did actually need to happen. I'm going to go back to...
You're scrolling back to...
Yes, so, you know, a lot of the stuff that we've heard and other things... we don't have any new features or content for the open beta or launch, just polishing as much as they can. You know, we've heard that before. Okay, alright. I gotta remember not to click, because apparently it's gonna bring me into each one of these.
Yeah.
From there, I think they kind of got roped into doing this, because they openly say they didn't want to do another Q&A or AMA type thing, but they felt that some things did need to be addressed. I'm just going to read what was said by Winsword, which is the developer account. So, like, Winsword's not a specific person, just putting that out there. It's the developer account, and it's run by the community management team, which, for people who don't know them, it's a group of, I believe, 4 to 6 people right now, depending on how you slice it and whose job do you think who's like, you know, acting in what role at the time. So I don't want to give the impression that this is a general AMA or something. I want to be sure to provide clarity around the open beta announcement. I don't have information to share about new features or content, but we do see the request from folks for PvP servers. We don't have plans for them at launch and don't have any info to share about post-launch plans. People have asked about this forever, and we've tried to answer it on stream a number of times. I really don't think that PvP servers are a good idea. And this is coming from somebody who formerly did competitive PvP first-person shooters. The game is designed around flagging up, taking off the flag when you want to just take it casual. Like, having that opportunity reduces a lot of problems. Also, the more game modes and the more additions you add to the game, the more complex the exemptions become. For instance, you know, being able to flag or being able to unflag to join a group of people from other factions to go run an expedition. You know, that would be fundamentally impossible. There are elements in the game that tell you to do something and don't leave you another option. So for instance, if you're in a PvE group and a PvP flagged group invites you to that group, you receive an invite that you can't get rid of unless you either accept or decline. Well, if you can't change the flag, you can't possibly accept it. You know, there's a bunch of different things like that create challenges and create a whole bunch of different coding exemptions that, you know, there's a lot of challenge with it that just isn't worth the hassle when PvP can take place already on any server at any time in almost any location. Fundamentally, if you want to join a server and leave your PvP flag on all of the time, do it. Yes, New World Order. So our in-game company is actually the Ninth Legion. But yeah.
I mean, I have a different take on the whole like PvP servers, kind of thing. I mean, I'm still very much an advocate of not having PvP servers, but having it mixed, kind of thing. The reason why is like, I'll give you a prime example of this, right? At the moment, if you go and play, a very PvP centric game, PUBG, right? Yeah, fair enough. It's kind of a dated, PvP game to some degree, even though big streamers still do play it from time to time. You get these situations now in PUBG where they've segmented their player base so much because of different locations, but not just different locations, but also different game modes, and on top of that also different maps as well, which you can choose very directly, right? You can choose to just play a single map rather than all the different maps, right? Along with all the modes, all of the map choices, all of the different locations that you can play to, kind of thing. Like, it segments the community up so much that they've had to introduce, and they've introduced it quite a while ago. They introduced bots into the game in order to fill up the match lobbies, in order to actually get them to get the match lobbies to actually run. Yeah. If you go to anybody who's been playing PUBG in the last six months to a year, like, the bot experience is horrible. And the thing is, you don't want that to happen. In New World, you don't want New World to be New World's community to be segmented so much that they have to introduce, pseudo player looking bots to PvP you, because you're going to be, it's going to be really fucking obvious that they're not actually players, because the AI is not going to be up to scratch. Yeah. And you're going to be there going this is a bad experience in comparison, but it's only a bad experience because everyone's been segmented. The thing is, if you have more people with the ability to interact, there's more chance of interaction there. Mm-hmm. Even if it means that someone can flag up and not flag up, the other thing is if you don't give people who are kind of cautious about flagging up the opportunity to see how not detrimental it is to their experience or to their progression, being killed while flagged up is sometimes it can actually be it can actually speed things up, right? We had the situation in the closed beta where some of us would flag up to go and grab some stuff, and then literally just run into a gang, get killed, and then spawn back at the settlement, because it would be quicker to than just running back to the settlement. It was, kind of genius move, really.
Oh, and I mean, there's a lot of nuance with it. Many people say oh, it'd be great if they added an end game zone or something to kind of make PvP more plentiful, make it more available. One of the challenges right now, and even in the open or the closed beta, and what's going to happen in the open beta again, because it's so short, is fundamentally nobody's getting a chance to play Outpost Rush. Outpost Rush is the level 60 content. That is PvP all the time for the people that are looking for it. That's the creme de la creme of PvP. And you get really well rewarded for doing it. So it's really one of these things where it's it's going to take a little bit of time. It's instance. I agree. I would prefer to have a lot more open world stuff, but I also
it doesn't mean that
have any issue in the beta finding open world PvP. It was all over.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's always going to be stuff unflagged scouts and and all of that. But there's a lot of things that having the ability to unflag really does enable a safety net. And I know that this sounds like I'm coddling the
you're pandering
the
to
newbies,
the PvEs and the newbies,
but
man. Like,
when it comes
what are you doing?
When it comes to toxic behavior, we all know that there are people in the PvP realm. There are people in the PvE realm that do this as well. I'm not saying it's exclusive. There are people in those realms that take things too far, create a scenario in which it's toxic, and if you don't have a way to unflag and remove yourself from engaging with them, then fundamentally you don't have a way to do things. Like, you remove a lot of options to even do things. We're going to be going Covenant at launch, by the way. Saw that question roll through chat.
Like, I literally bought my Covenant shirt recently. I might buy a couple more actually a little later on. Like,
if you guys are interested in the New World merch, we've got a link below the stream that goes to the Amazon page. It's an affiliate link, so you support us by clicking through it. It doesn't cost you any extra to go through our link. It's just redirecting traffic, and we get a commission for that. So, figured I'd mention that. We also just kickstarted all of our international links. So
hopefully those are working
today.
Yeah. And I am EU.
Yeah. So I really don't think that they're going to budge from the no PvP servers, because they keep leaning on the same line. Because if I read on here, for folks reading along in a previous thread, I explained a challenge for creating PvP servers is that they would require unique rule sets, fundamentally changing the rules to ensure that all of the nuanced situations where a player would flag or unflag for various different reasons, they would have to find ways to prevent that. And to reflag them if and there can be a sizable code base in difference between the two. Difference in builds, and would create parallel development and quality assurance testing. And over time, those PvP server players would also expect additional features and content to improve the experience on the PvP servers, and reasonably so, which would not be things that would be otherwise desired or make sense or maybe even function on regular servers. This would further divide the community, versions of the game, and development resources, so this is not a decision to be made lightly, though we hear the ask and it is being discussed. Fundamentally, I appreciate that they're open to the idea, but I do agree with them. I think that it is actually a sizable amount of work.
Not only is it a sizable amount of work and splitting and creating parallel work processes that they really shouldn't need to do. Fundamentally, I agree with their base decision of not having PvP servers but having everything together.
Exactly. It makes it easier to develop one game in which PvP can exist everywhere, and instead of cutting up the resources and making things challenging for everyone. I'm noticing that we had a little bump in viewers, but I want to make sure that people know, hey, there's the open beta from the 9th through the 12th of September, and then from there the game launches on the 28th of September. So soon. There's also, as what leaked this morning, ongoing testing, ongoing technical tests that fundamentally are behind the NDA. So if you see people streaming something that says test build in the top corner, they're doing something wrong. As somebody who's managed the Reddit for long enough to know, there's more than enough people today that have been caught and potentially lost. I think I saw one today lose their Twitch account over it. So keep in mind, if you were invited to a technical test that is considered confidential, it is confidential, and they can and will delete your Twitch account. even if you are an affiliate or a partner. Also, as I've seen in the past, if you argue with the official handle in your stream about whether or not you're allowed to stream their game, that's a very comical thing for the audience to watch, as they literally have the power to delete your account. Seen it
and
more
it's
than
happened
once.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, the kind of the clue is when you start the game up and the game says this is a confidential technical test. You are not allowed to do this, and this.
Mm-hmm.
If you just like, oh, there's a pop-up screen, I must click OK, and not actually read it, then I'm sorry, you're screwing yourself over. If you think, oh, I can just stream this, you can't stream this. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Also, it's got a watermark, so it's painfully obvious what's happening. It's in the top corner. It says test build. When you log in, it says confidential alpha. There's so many hints to getting to the point where will you keep the stuff from the open beta? No. No progression will transfer past the launch. So launch resets everything. And that's by design, so nobody gets any kind of leg up on anybody else, and we all start from even on the break. So, yeah. It's basically an opportunity for people to try the game who haven't pre-ordered, because you don't need to pre-order to get into the open alpha or open beta. It should be, I believe it's going to be a fresh wipe, because I think they cleaned off all the servers and that. And functionally, it's going to be 4 days of, hey, let's try it. Let's see how many people we can get playing it. Let's have a good time with it, and let's show them where the people are from, fundamentally, where they're from, what bugs still need to be fixed, and so I'm gonna keep going through the Windsward content here, because they actually posted quite a bit.
I didn't realize it was this much. I thought it was literally like 2 questions, so I'm kind of oh crap, there's more.
Yep.
FYI, the 9th, obviously it's in about I think it's 9 days.
Yes.
No, 7.
Also,
12 days. 12
if you were looking for a company to join and you're going to be playing on US East, we have a company called the 9th Legion. Feel free to join the Discord and make yourself known in the 9th recruitment channel, and we'll be more than happy to bring you aboard. We're US East on Covenant is going to be the faction that we're going with, mainly because they. For a couple reasons, but the biggest being it really does give you a lot more opportunities when it comes to PvP, in that Covenant seems to be the
underdog, right?
Underdog,
somewhat of the underdog.
And on the server that we played on, Thule, we actually had a really good opportunity and kind of balanced server, because at the end we had almost equal territory with just about everyone else. So, and actually, it's not by coincidence that the actual 9th Legion lost to history. It's not by coincidence that we chose the 9th Legion.
I just wanted to say that,
Brimstone Sands comes out, you'll understand why as well, because there's going to be content there.
I just want to say, Robot Dog's saying the 10th Legion sucks, right? It's not the 10th Legion that sucks. It's the 19th Legion that sucks, because they fucking followed us. They followed us to Eternum. God, we can't even disappear without them following us.
Yeah. For those that don't know, the zone that's currently being worked on, that's been leaked, 10 ways to Sunday at this point, is Brimstone Sands, which is a desert zone, which appears, based on the lore that's been discovered so far, to have some sort of Roman influence, with what they're referring to as the 19th Legion. So some subtle connections there.
Maybe it's what the Ninth Legion was on like an alternative dimension.
Yeah.
Ooh, who knows?
So there's a bunch of stuff like that. I want to. I'm at the same time I'm reading through some of these, and like they're talking about the Steam testing client and stuff like that. It's really just not crazy important, but will be useful for later on. Basically, they when the beta does come out, they want people to play as per normal. The sign up page is going to be up on, I believe, the 8th, the day before, which it's a sign up page, but obviously Steam isn't going to download the game for you. You have to actually push the button to accept and download the game, so you got to sign up somewhere, and that's how they're doing that.
It's like a new tester tool or something like that Steam is like working on something, right?
They're also going to have the forums open for the open beta.
Hey!
So we'll be able to share stuff there. That's good.
They'll probably have wiped it. They will probably
have wiped it, which means I have lost all of my badges yet again. Here's the thing: when you manage the subreddit, you get some of the badges that like most people are like, that's never going to happen. So like sharing a link that's clicked more than 1,000 times, that's the kind of thing that you really only get when you manage a subreddit of 90,000 people. It's those little things that are like it is what it is. Anyways, I think that from there, there's really not a whole lot of new stuff. There are not going to be any account boosts of any kind. Is something that they confirmed again. So like no boosting from that front. I feel like you guys probably want to watch something other than like a text screen there. So I'm gonna go throw up some decent content, and I just need a moment to. So I go to this video all the time. This is the gaming trend videos. I'll link this in chat in a second here.
I was just thinking to myself, like, do I have some videos on my channel? I could pull up.
I just wanted to showcase the Outpost Rush content again as well. So for those that don't know, this is the Outpost Rush content. Outpost Rush being the end game PvP instanced 20v20 domination style, capture up to 3 outposts, hold those outposts to gain points, as well as complete alternative objectives like some of the NPCs gathering resources so that you can build up defenses and even siege turrets to attack. It really is going to be. This is going to be something that people are going to really enjoy when they hit level 60. This is level 60 content. So. I linked the video in chat there because it really is a valuable video. Most of the other people that were invited to this particular event, it was a special press event. Most of the people cut down the footage to like super short clips, and this guy kept the entire video intact, start to finish, for the entire match, which I think is much more valuable than cutting away, because it gives you an impression of like how the game is actually played, or how the Outpost Rush map is actually played.
His skill in the game may not be significant, but like clearly his skill as a journalist was a damn sight lot better.
Absolutely. And I do want to say, like, I stopped saying a while ago, but like, I want to say this again. Thank you guys for the crazy amount of follows and subs and gifted subs. Like, straight up, we do this for you guys. So like, every time I see the notification thing go off, it makes my day. So thank you again to all of you. At this point, there's so many that I can barely keep track of them all.
I made sure to sort of make sure that I had Streamlabs and Stream Elements up just in case I had to turn off the following kind of notification again. But like, seems to be all right. Seems to be okay today, so it's all right.
We got a hello from Argentina. There you go.
Hey, there we go.
Yeah. It's one of the things that I've really been looking forward to. Actually just set up our Amazon affiliate thing for Germany, ironically enough, is that like you get to meet people from all over. Like McLeod and I used to play EVE Online, and we've gone to a number of player meetups and things like that. And one of the coolest things about online gaming is that eventually you get opportunities to meet these people that you've been gaming with for sometimes years and years and years in person and have a drink with them. Like you get to, for EVE Online, we had, a ton of opportunities to drink with the devs and, just have fun, learn from people. So I love seeing, all the different countries and where everybody's from, because like it really is, a huge
it's
kind
such
of family,
a multicultural. Yeah, it's a lovely multicultural experience. Like that was one of the things it's one of the things that I like about gaming in general is like, especially gaming where it's not just like, a 5-minute match and then that's it and then you move on, but like something that has a bit of persistence, has a bit of like, longevity to it. You end up, talking to people from different countries, and like it doesn't matter, like so long as you're kind of like, so long as you kind of leave your sort of your initial kind of thoughts and ideas of what people are like in those countries at the door. It's really like it's really eye-opening, really kind of awesome to just talk to people from a different country and realize that like they're basically just like you. They just speak a different language. Like they might have slightly different views, but like it's cool to sort of see those views as to what it is, and understand and broaden your view on the world. It's great.
So there's a debate about whether it's a sandbox game or not. I don't think it's as much of a sandbox game as it used to be, because back in the day you used to be able to build bases, it was very similar to, like, I would use Rust as a good example of like the base building, in that's quite a bit more of a sandbox. This is more of a traditional economy dash.
So I think it has sandbox elements. I don't think they're there. I don't think I think the best games out there aren't pure like games. I don't think like the best games out in the world are like pure sort of like they're the better ones out there are like an amalgamation that have like elements of all sorts of different things. And New World is one of those sorts of things. Like you can't say it's a sandbox, but you can't purely say it's a theme park MMO. Like it's one of those things where it's like it's got elements of both. Yeah. Exactly. And I think the thing is, it's got the good elements of both.
One thing to address the elephant in the room, McLeod and I are not actually related. We've been good friends for years, and he's from England, I'm from the US, so like, we met each other through EVE Online, just chatting.
Yeah, I don't know how much Scottish ancestry you have. You said that you have like some Irish ancestry. So
a little bit of like Highlands area was on my 23andMe,
Maybe.
So yeah, maybe we're long lost relatives. Like it could be a thing.
Distant cousin, like
oh yeah.
Very very distant cousin or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah,
you never know.
It could be a thing. But yeah. Actually, my grandfather on my dad's side was in World War II. He was part of the Canadian Canadian version of the Airborne.
Okay, good.
So little known fact about my grandparents.
Yeah, I was hoping you were going to be on the right side of that one.
yeah, no. Definitely on the winning side of that, and obviously not happy to see the Nazis making a comeback. But I'm going to dive away from political content for the rest of this.
Yes, yes. Let's not. No,
otherwise, that's gonna stir up stuff that I don't want to deal with. Realistically,
I did actually.
What's that?
I did actually send you a link to the expedition, the depths that we did. By the way, like my perspective.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you want to play that after this or not. But either way, there's some other content that you potentially watch as well.
Yep. Got it queued up in the background there.
Nice.
Yeah. So that's a lot of the stuff that we had planned for tonight. We've been going for about an hour. That said, I want to continue with kind of like just a Q&A. We want to answer your guys' questions and be of value to you. And I know we've been kind of doing that throughout, but I'm curious what you guys want to know.
We could always go down some of the rabbit holes that you guys kind of bring up as well.
So why are these hats not on Amazon? So this specific hat is not on Amazon because the only way to get them is to either A, be an Amazon developer, or B, have received one during the preview event last fall for people who were either like outstanding community members that they wanted to thank, or some content creators that they were basically giving the nod to early to say, hey, thanks for being with us. For those that don't know, like, the New World Order show has been creating New World specific content for more than a year and a half, as we started not this January but the January before. So we're almost closing in on 2 years worth of developing content for New World.
It's weird when you say that because
it really
I don't know, it kind of feels like it's gone quick, but I'm fairly certain there were definitely times and periods in that where I'm like, oh my god, can this not come fast enough? It's been fucking ages.
Mm-hmm. Well, what's funny is when we started this channel, we thought it was only going to be like 3 months until launch.
Yeah,
and then that was proven rapidly wrong. So,
but this is game development, right? This is you can't run game development on such a ridiculously strict kind of timeline. It has to be, because it's not. It's part. I mean, it's kind of part technical, but it's also very very much like an art form, right? And art is not something that is like, good art is not one of those sorts of things that can be done to a strict timeline.
To answer the question, yes, we did play during the early alpha when the game was, I don't want to say full PvP because the game was never actually full PvP, or full loot PvP, because
when it was crazy.
in order to get the full loot part of it, you had to I had to have gone and killed somebody, gained a criminal timer, and then, as a punishment, if I died, everything on me would drop. Which, that was led to all kinds of bad things, led to the inevitable change. It's very, very, very different game now than it was then. It's very, very much more refined as a game than it was back then. There are a lot of people out there that glorify the old version of the game. I can tell you firsthand, I infinitely prefer, and this is coming from, again, somebody who's used to play, competitively first-person shooters, and I love PvP. this version of the game is much healthier.
The interesting thing about this is it's even though people kind of think that the flagging system is can be kind of complex, it's actually a little bit less. It's actually less complex than what the original system had. And the thing about game design is the more complex the systems are, like from a mechanical standpoint, not from just like how they interact with other mechanics, but like how if you have a more complex mechanics in a game, there's more chance and more opportunity for like edge cases to crop up, and a lot of the time those edge cases are very undesirable.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much a lot of what Amazon Games wanted to kind of get rid of is these edge cases that were horrendously game breaking and abusive.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there was a lot of other things that like it could have developed into a decent game. It wasn't that it wasn't fun. It was that people took things too far, and as the devs have stated in their official press releases on the topic, people took it too far. The inability of people to play the game because they were just being farmed by experienced players was a substantial enough problem that they made massive changes to the game. So you can thank some of the more aggressive people that were in the alpha for that change.
Yeah, and you could think that like sort of like just ditching it without like refining it might sort of seem like the easy way out or the cheap way out. Like, but the thing is, like, if you're let's make a really terrible analogy for this, right? If the objective is to get up the hill or to get up the cliff, right, are you going to struggle climbing up a vertical rock face with no rope, no chalk, or are you going to take the lift, right?
Mm-hmm. And the thing is, it's not. I'm not saying that every PvPer is bad. And I'm not, because like I PvP. I love to PvP. But there really were a lot of problems where people took it too far. It's one thing to kill somebody in the open world. It's another to farm them until they quit the game as your intention. That's where the line has to be drawn. And absent a PvP flag, there's not a lot of great ways to do that. A PvP flag is kind of a good way to do it, because like if you're flagged, there's certain content that is gated by being flagged. There's certain content that is that you don't want to be you don't want to be running while flagged because it's just too complex, or the mechanics won't allow you to be. And then at the same time, like there's content in PvP that is specific to PvP. So that's kind of the big thing for me, that like it really does create a lot of anti-griefing opportunity the way that it's set up now versus the way that it was in the past. And I speak from that from first-hand experience. At some point in time, I would love for them to release the NDA and let us talk about Alpha 1. But other than the mechanics that were displayed in some of the videos early on, we can't really discuss much of it.
Yeah, I wish we could, but we can't right now. Like unless Amazon Games kind of lets us, which they don't at the moment. So.
So now, and the other side of this is money. So Rust, for instance, doesn't make a lot of money. Being totally honest, it doesn't. Versus World of Warcraft, which has made a shitload of money. Like, it has made a lot of money. Now, here's the thing, and for anybody, and I love hitting on this because it's a point that makes me cringe inside. But it's so true that it's kind of scary. if Amazon Game Studio wanted to be a company that just focused on making money, they would not develop an MMO. They would be developing mobile games. Mobile games like Candy Crush. Candy Crush made multiple billions of dollars. Billions with the B. Like, for instance, comparatively speaking, EVE Online
and that's
last year, for all 4 quarters, made less than $100 million. Candy Crush, as a single game that is literally just match the stuff together, drops it, and continually over the years has made billions of dollars each year. So if they wanted to make money, they would not be doing super complex server architecture, building their own game engine, building all of these things, and I agree that the player bases are entirely different. They're very much different things, but from a standpoint of you have a collection of coders, if your objective was to make money, then you would be developing mobile games. And there's a reason that a lot of studios have gone that direction and have aimed for mobile integration, like EA when they tried to bring back the Commander mode, right? Commander mode, or Diablo with Blizzard trying to, don't you guys have phones?
Such a bad moment, Jesus.
Yeah. And I mean, there's plenty of devs out there that hate mobile games. I agree. I think it's ridiculous that a game like Candy Crush can make as much money as it does. But the reality is, that's where the money is. Developing a super complex game like New World with, a massive amount of server architecture that costs a lot of money in a long-term development life cycle, where this game's been in development since 2016. That's a lot of time where you're paying devs to build a game that is, sure, it's gonna make money, but it's not gonna make billions of dollars off the break.
If you're interested in return on investment, like
the official announcement of when it started was 16, but it has been in since 12. I agree. You got me on that one. I was going off of the TwitchCon announcement, and but and I agree. Like, within the MMO genre, though, there are a lot of things that they could have done and could do instead of doing what they're currently doing. In all honesty, games like Black Desert Online is a good example of this. Pearl Abyss. Eastern MMOs make more money than Western MMOs because Eastern countries have more of a pay-to-win aspect that they deem acceptable. That said,
they're more accepting of microtransaction models, like heavy microtransaction models.
That said, we don't, on a Western side of things, we don't accept that. So releasing as a Western MMO, stating, hey, there's going to be no kind of pay to win. There's going to be none of the common things that you see in World of Warcraft, even, or EVE Online with the skill injectors and stuff like that. They've actually fought against that and said we don't really want there to be, They want people to level, but they want people to level naturally. They, even the way that they towed into where they were like, hey, we would potentially consider rested XP, like a booster to that, but rested XP is not XP. To explain how far away from pay to win rested XP is, I'll explain rested XP. After 8 hours of being away from the game, you gain currently 1% rested XP per hour. So if you are away for 100 hours, you would gain 100% or 1 level worth of rested XP that, here's the kicker, isn't real XP. You have to still log into the game, play, and you'll receive XP at a faster rate during that than you would otherwise. It's not giving you XP, it's giving you an opportunity to gain more the next time that you're on. So it's really a creative way of enabling a catch-up mechanic for casual players while also not creating a terrible experience or a breakable system for the elite players who are, I'm going to play 16 hours a day and you're never going to catch up to me.
And we've experienced that. We've experienced what it looks like for a catch-up mechanic to be basically, repurposed by other players to basically be a, let's make a 0 to 100%, done character in like literally a few seconds, right? Like we've experienced that in games and so we kind of know what that kind of situation looks like, and to be completely honest, I fucking hate it. Like, it's destroyed. It in my opinion, it has destroyed an MMO that I really, really enjoyed. And at this point in time, the damage is done. You can't erase that damage. You can't remove that damage, right? So I know that experience. I know how detrimental it can be to the longevity of an MMO that, in its core, has persistence. And we know because Amazon Games has said they want they want New World to be a persistent world. All the things that you do, all the things that you collect, all the things that you have, and all the interactions that you you partake in the server that you choose to play on should be persistent, should be permanent, right? So trust us when we say that rested XP is not what you think it is. It is not just some flat out XP boost that can be abused by people.
Yeah. And so the other side of this is pay for convenience. So, pay for convenience, there is a line. There's a fine line between pay for convenience and pay to win. Pay for convenience where let's say, for example, territory bonuses that you can get by playing the game, just by leveling up a territory, you can get additional storage. This is entirely spitballing an idea. I'm not saying they should do this, but creating a way to buy an additional amount of storage in a settlement, I think is an example of pay for convenience. It's something that isn't game breaking. It's it's something that you could achieve in game, but you're bouncing forward. It doesn't affect really anybody other than you. But at the same time, it isn't pay to win. Now, if they started doing things like resource packs, then we're talking about economic differences that are substantiated by no longer needing other players and etc. That's where you start crossing the line pretty quickly. Azoth would be another one where if they started selling Azoth, that's a huge problem, because that would be crafters would do that all of the time, because it gives you a better chance at things. And of course, it would unlock basically infinite fast travel for money, which is just not a good idea. It's such a fine line, and I know you guys know what I mean by that, because it really is challenging. It really is something that is not a firm, hard science. And even talking about pay to win, people will consider different things pay to win. Some people would argue that, you know, the skins
Some
could
people
be
think
pay to win because, you know, my skin could reduce my body size or appearance in the world, even though it doesn't change the hitbox, it might change the body's, you know, visibility, and people would deem that as game breaking. You know, where, you know, oh, I have to have that skin in order to be competitive, when in reality, you know, they you know, could be not wrong, but like, you know, like, I don't think people would argue that it's just like, you guys know exactly what I'm trying to say. Like, it really is a challenging line to draw, and I think that as a community we should help Amazon maintain that line and you know, support what they do that doesn't cross that line. You know, like, you know, everybody's got a different line.
Yeah.
Like, when the you know, controversy
it's always...
over the store broke off, you know, oftentimes people complained that, like, one, there was going to be a store at all, which was like, guys, like, that's just the inevitability of gaming. Like, single player games have stores in them now. So, like, you know, like, there were it was gonna happen. That said, like, I think we can fight back on things like, you know, level boosts. You know, like World of Warcraft, where you can pay, what is it, $40 for, you know, instant level 50 or level 60 or whatever they've got. You know, like, that obviously is just not acceptable. Like, you know, it just really isn't a good thing. I'm gonna let McLeod talk because, you know, one, people are giving me crap for not letting him talk, but two, you know, I know he's got a lot of opinions on this. It's all too. Good.
Well, I kind of have some opinions, yeah, for sure. Like, I was just gonna say that, like, you know, it depends entirely on what specific kind of, you know, convenience thing you're talking. You know, you know, is the, you know, the topic of the day, right? Like, with regards to, you know, whether it's game breaking, whether it's not game breaking, whether it's, you know, whether it crosses into, you know, pay to win, or whether it's just convenience, right? Like, so, and it all has to do with you know, the level of severity that particular kind of you know, that particular mechanic, or that particular kind of thing that people are sort of, you know, trying to abuse in some way, shape, or form, how far, you know, those things can be taken. Because if it's something that can't really be taken that far, then there's you know, then it's a less severe form of pay for convenience, which may not be so game breaking that it's pay to win, if you know what I mean. So it's all about it's all about the degrees of severity when it comes down to, you know, when you're talking about, you know, this particular type of thing or that particular type of thing. So, and, like, it's always very relative.
The other kicker to this, and like, it's a degree of, like, how far away is it? You know, like EA, when they launched Battlefield, the Star Wars game, Battlefront. Sorry. Battlefront 2 had just like, the microtransactions were stupid. Like, if you wanted to unlock all of the characters, it was going to take you, like, I think somebody said it was like 20 years worth of playing the game in order to unlock all the characters. Like, it was literally designed to, you know, be a pain. You know, but, like, comparatively, like, imagine if, you know, New World, we know the territory system. Every time you level up a territory, it gives you territory boosts. So, like, you know, you could, you know, every once in a while you roll the additional storage. So, like, there's a way to boost that territory standing over time. And let's say adding, you know, 200 storage for $5 or something. You know, like, I don't think that's game breaking, because that's like 2.5 hours worth of work total, like, to grind a territory standing up, just doing, like, portals. So, like, there's obviously, like, if you make it absurd and be like, hey, for $10 you can get, you know, 4,000 hours ahead of anybody else, then yeah, that's like designed to be pay to win, you know. But, like, it's a scale of, it's a scale, and at some point that line gets crossed. And and it becomes a problem. And
Yeah.
the other side of it is like, it puts an undue value on stuff. I'm not super for like adding this kind of stuff. I'm just saying that like, one, it really is like, it wouldn't surprise me if we saw some pay for convenience stuff. It would really surprise me if we saw any kind of like hard pay to win stuff.
I mean, I expect that there's going to be some pay for convenience stuff, but I expect that like, I expect that there is going to be a degree of kickback, but like the one kind of convenience style kind of thing that like I expect people to, for the uninitiated to not really understand and to kick back on where they really shouldn't kick back on is the, rested XP stuff, right?
Yeah.
That's the
I
stuff
actually think
like,
that
people
that's
need
the
to
kind
really
of thing
know.
that's really good.
It is a really good mechanic, like, honest to God. But like, shall we move on topic wise? Because I recall that there was requests as to what weapons we feel is going to be coming in at some point in New World, whether it's potentially at the at launch or just sort of recently after the launch. Because there were some reveals.
There were some reveals recently in terms of new potential weapons. We know that we are going to get Void Gauntlets. They were not just teased, but we actually got the images in the creator kit the other day. Let me pull those. I have them in our art gallery on the Discord.
Mm-hmm.
So, this is the original concept art. This is the white page concept art for what is the T2, T3, T4, and T5 variants. You can tell because one's iron, one's silver, one's kind of this bluish steel,
bluish metal that you get,
and then the gold is generally signet of orichalcum. So
yeah,
we saw this. Which, hey, that's pretty cool. And then the other side of this was these, where these are obviously a lot higher detailed. We've got
I think these are a lot newer as well, right?
These are a lot newer, but these also take a more consistent art approach with various different factions, like Angry Earth, or potentially Ancient. Here, maybe, maybe I don't know what these other two would be, but fundamentally speaking, these look more like the variants that you would find in the world from from the different factions and that. So like when you get a life staff in game, you get the variants that you can build, and then you've got the variants that you can get that are like the Lost variant or the Angry Earth variant or the Pirate variant, etc. So there is a lot of gameplay, or there is a lot of concept associated with that, and they really do look pretty cool.
And there's been some kind of leaks as to what potentially the passives and actives, specials and stuff are going to be. Whether those are accurate, whether those are going to be the passives and actives and stuff like that Amazon games are going to be going with, we honestly don't know. Like, we genuinely and honestly don't know. But what it looks like it's going to be kind of an interesting weapon, because it's kind of like utilizing magic as a sort of a means to create melee weapons on demand, and melee sort of like abilities and melee moves, but from sort of a bit of a distance, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's gonna be cool.
So it really is an interesting one. They've also teased potentially daggers. Also, we have another concept here that these are likely more of the in-game look, re-rendered in another way.
Yeah.
And actually, we've got yet another one that we managed to find. So there's a lot of stuff here. I do think in the future that we're probably going to see pistols as well, mainly because NPCs already have them. And if you look back in, this is going to take me a moment to find, but
are you going to look for the blunderbuss, right?
I'm going to look for the blunderbuss.
So there's definitely a picture where you kind of your initial impressions is, oh, it's just a musket, right? It looks very much like a musket, but if you actually look specifically at the weapon, like you can actually see a flared end to the weapon, which very much is not something that is typical for a musket. It's very much a thing with regards to a blunderbuss. So and it's that I think it's that picture from one of the graveyards, right? It's got one of the ghouls in the background.
This is one of the problems of having an art library that's like thousands of pictures. So our Discord hosts this library that like you can just scroll through it and see all of the stuff, all of the original concept art for the game, all of the like stuff that's been developed over time, like the promotional images.
Hopefully, like if it is a sort of like a pseudo shotgun, being a blunderbuss kind of thing, like it's one of those things. Like I've never played a game that has a shotgun that doesn't have people kind of complaining about the shotgun spread, right? Being somewhat or not functioning or working correctly, or complaining about the fact that the shotgun suddenly didn't seem to work for whatever reason when you went and fired it off axis and just didn't hit anything, right? Even though you would claim that you lined that shot up absolutely perfectly and the all of the pellets missed somehow, right? So I don't know. It's always a point of contention when it comes to like sort of those sorts of games when it comes to shotguns. So we'll see what we'll see. Hopefully it does come in, because that'll provide a bit of interesting like a sort of an interesting close range option for people who have. I mean, I imagine it's probably going to be something along the same range as, requiring attributes similar to the musket. So we'll see. You end up finding that by any chance?
There's a lot of scrolling involved in this process.
Still eluding you, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it can't be like that.
Again, thousands and thousands of pictures. So I think I'm close.
Oh, okay.
Like I can remember roughly like when it was released. So like it's got to be around the same time as this. But like some of this stuff was added later on as I was able to acquire it. So like.
Yeah, Husey could be right, actually, to be honest. Like, the blunderbuss, in reality was insanely inaccurate. So like, if for whatever reason it fails you in the heat of the moment, like, that you could consider that to be, realistically and historically accurate, right? So
yeah, here we go.
There you go.
So a lot of people told me back in the day that was a musket. Now, at first glance, you would think musket, right? But let's scroll in. Now, the tip of the barrel is wide and flared. Also, this is bulky and doesn't have the same profile. It even looks like it has kind of like a little handle up here than the musket does.
It is a thick boy.
So this is definitely a flared tip, So there's some obviously something different to this than a musket. I would argue it's a blunderbuss. The reason I would argue that is that we've also seen it in the game files. So,
so there's also that.
There's also that little nugget of information. So that was released in the original release when the game went for sale as one of the creator kit images. So that is not new news, but that is something that has been worked on. And it would not surprise me to see it anytime soon. Additionally, I'm sure we all remember this scene from one of the trailers. That is a 3-barreled pistol. Yeah. Which those did actually exist. So that's very much a thing. And of course, like, some of the NPCs have been seen to have pistols in the past. There's some interesting stuff that can be done with those. I think it would make for a good, like, offhand weapon. Like the pistol shield combo, like the NPCs have, would actually be pretty good. Especially with, like, shield bashes and that.
I was just thinking, with regards to sort of some interesting stuff that was around, but
thanks for the sub.
we don't really see in the game at the moment. Like, people don't really use cannons that much, like to a big extent. But, like, could you imagine if you had, like, the mounted cannons? Like, if you had a special shot, like with the mounted cannon, and you could fire a chain shot.
Oh.
The chain, the one where you have the two balls and has the chain, like, between the two, like, specifically, designed to sort of take down masts and ships, right? But if you can imagine, like, it being used in a sort of 50-on-50 situation, right? You could use that as a means to basically knock down a whole bunch of people. Like,
it's like a bola shot with, like, a crippling effect where, like, for 5 seconds, anybody who gets hit by it is...
just a sort of like almost like a knockdown, like, wave kind of shot.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be interesting. Might be a little bit OP, but, like, you could tailor that to have a big cooldown, so you couldn't use it that often.
So what's the current status for mounts? So mounts are not currently in the game. However, it is something that the development team has actually had specific interviews on. They interviewed Sir Medieval a while back, and we're talking about mounts. And the general kind of consensus is that if they were to add mounts, mounts would be mounts are a system that they want to put a lot of effort into. They don't want it to just be shoehorned into the game. They want it to be something that it has more depth, has more complexity, keeps people engaged in the world, or potentially, potentially killable, as there's a plausible way of getting them back. So, like, knocking people off mounts and things like that. They haven't 100% confirmed that they're going to do mounts. However, this is like going back to our discussion on monetization for games. Fundamentally speaking, mounts make money. So like,
they're another vector for skin sales, for example.
Like, it would not surprise me if there were eventually cosmetics for mounts, if there were cosmetics for, like, fort cannons. Like, you name it, people are like, eventually it's going to become a thing, because that's, like, it's the inevitability of cosmetics. And if you want a game to succeed in an atmosphere where you sell no kind of pay-for-win type system, they're going to have to get creative with other options for creating revenue streams. And frankly, mounts are one of those things, and the reason you see them in just about every game, and the reason they become very prevalent in a lot of games, is because they make a lot of money. And like for PvP, there are ways of introducing mounts into PvP that don't break it. Like, you know, one of the ways, like, if they did it, this is how I would like it. You know, for PvP, if the horse gets hit or you get hit, you know, depending on, like, you know, let's say they created a system where you could armor your horse, it would slow with more armor, but it could take more hits, or, you know, or if it wasn't armored, if it takes a hit, it bucks you off. You know, then, you know, it's easy enough to hunt people, you know, doing that. You know, so like there's ways of making them usable and making them not broken. But of course,
and this is kind of,
you know,
and
that's
this is kind of where
a long game of balance. You know.
Yeah, but this is also where, like, you know, both mine and your kind of like, you know, aversion to flying mounts kind of comes into it, right?
Yes.
Because like if you want to sort of create a balanced sort of mount system, you can't have the, you know, the capacity of those mounts to be able to just allow players to just dodge players like so easily, right? And flying mounts generally do tend to sort of create that situation.
Mm-hmm. You know, and the other side of this is, like, you know, the argument would be that, you know, as I said in chat, would create a meta where you must use a ranged weapon. One, there's a lot of ranged weapons in the game, but two, you can also fire a weapon and then swap it out pretty quick with stuff in your inventory. You know, so like there's ways that you can do things without. You know, especially like if you knock somebody off a horse, there's going to be a period where they're like stunned and getting back up, which gives you a little bit of time to swap back to another weapon, or, you know, go with like
or close distance, you know,
or close distance, you know, or alternatively have a friend there with you who has, you know, a ranged weapon, or a life staff, or a fire staff, or, you know, an ice gauntlet, or a bow, or a musket, or hatchet, or spear, or, you know, the list goes on for quite a ways on how many things can be thrown at other people in the game.
Yeah.
So that said, like, you know, I'm not. I don't think that the current version of the game necessarily needs mounts, because I think that there are plenty of ways to gain Azoth, and they've done a really good job of adding the spirit shrines, which in the short term are a suitable option. I would prefer, instead of like fast travel systems, I personally prefer for people to be in the world and interactable, because it's always nice to, like, you know, run past somebody who's going the other direction and be like, oh hey, I know that guy, you know.
Yeah.
You know, and it's the same reason that, like, McLeod and I are 100% against flying mounts, because they withdraw you entirely from the world. You know, and of course, like, there's no flying enemies in New World, so like that's the other challenge is, you know, just
to be able to
clarify what I said. Sorry for cutting you off again here, but to clarify what I meant by the shrine system being fine is that absent mounts, which I would prefer mounts, I think the shrine system is suitable for now. I think the inevitability of the cost factor and the revenue stream for customization, mounts are going to be a thing. Like, just reading the tea leaves of the rest of the gaming industry, I think that's a pill that people should swallow now so that it's not bitter later. You know,
I mean, I don't think it's going to be bitter, but like I think, like, you know, yeah, you're going to have mounts, but like people will obviously be like, you know, like clawing for, you know, those flying mounts. But I just like it just to have flying mounts require, you know, make such a awkward situation to kind of balance it from the outset. Like they will need to do an absolute ton of work to just, you know, make it so that it's not horrendously overpowered.
Yeah.
And I think the work that's required just to make flying mounts like less not horrendously overpowered from the get-go. It is just not it's not a good thing.
All of the PvP aspects
kind of
when it comes to defense. So for defending a fort in a 50-on-50 is reliant on holding the walls, holding them outside. In terms of having cavalry, that wouldn't be bad. That's not an unbreakable thing, especially with turrets and all of that. You've got built-in ways of shooting them off forces and that. Flying mounts destroy the 50-on-50 meta entirely because you could just land in the base. And that's a problem. So obviously we've thought about things like that because we've had the 10-hour-long conversations about how mounts should work and how they would screw up the game if they did them wrong.
But hey, surely you should just be able to build a catapult and then fling yourself over the walls.
I mean, they have the whatchamacallit launchers and the invasions. The files call them cow launchers, but they're the void launchers or whatever that launch the little sack that grows into a dude. And
actually, that's kind of funny though. That's funny that they call it cow launchers, right? Because that's kind of, I think that's actually they're referencing Monty Python, right?
I think so.
Launching the cow from the battlements.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So there's some really comical references, and there's a bunch of things in New World that people don't know, but if you get to know the dev team that's behind the game, there's a lot of hidden references. So for instance, all of the Watchers around the island, so Watcher Fayed and Tausch, the animal tamer
Tausch,
Cutlass Keys, and trying to remember some of the other ones. Henniger's Harpy is the name of one of the ships. For those that don't know, Greg Henniger is the content creator manager for Amazon Game Studio. So there's a lot of integration in terms of their names in the game. So I feel a lot of people miss out on that because they, it's not a announced thing, or it's not a
well, it's not an announced thing, but but then again, it's not a unique thing, because I think some other development studios have also done nods in a similar sort of fashion. But it's always nice to have that, right?
Oh yeah. So should add an A's mini boss. So here's the thing: I've wanted them to add a Monty Python reference into the game. I want them to add a small cave off in a mountain somewhere that just has one little white bunny that has the attack damage and abilities of a level 65 Puma.
But with
5 times with gold bar, the whole works.
5 times the health and 5 times the speed, right?
Yeah. Just saying, it would be hysterical. Because the first time somebody would find it, they would be alone and wouldn't be able to kill it, and they would just have a rabbit that they're running up to, and all of a sudden, oh, it's a gold rabbit. Rabbits don't have attack moves, and then it leaps at them and does the whole latch to the throat and take him down. That would be so funny.
I'd love that. I'd love that so much.